John Cilio, welcome to our Trending Now program. So happy you can join us today.
Thanks so much, Sheldon, for having me. It's a pleasure.
John, it was reported about a week ago that some 8 million of LinkedIn's and eHarmony's passwords were stolen and leaked throughout the internet. Forget the issues with Social Security. We're now in the world of social media security. So the question I have, one question is, when these kind of things typically happen, do you think that there's an intent to do something malicious with these passwords, or is it just to create some sort of chaos?
It's both, actually. There are, as with all things, there's the good side that is trying to expose that there is exposure to let us know, hey, it's out there, you better fix it. And that's usually when we get pieces of databases. If we don't get the whole thing, we get 6.5 million, and it's sending a message to the corporations, hey, you better pay attention, you better feel that heart attack shock of, wake up here.
Right.
And the other half of the time, it's malicious. It's people that are trying to make money off of it. It's organized crime, and they want to exploit it for the financial gain.
Mm-hmm. What are some ways that they, in a mass way, collecting so many passwords, how can they make money off of something like that?
Yeah, there are many ways. The most basic is when they have access into these accounts, they have access to all of the information they need to sell. So what they do is they go in and they harvest it, they skim it off, and then they sell it on other websites, whether that's, preferably it's a password, because when you set up your LinkedIn account, the chances are very good that you use the same password for a banking account or two or a credit card account.
Right.
On the other side of it, what they want is a kind of a more targeted attack, and this affects corporations quite a bit, which is I want to know how to get inside of your company because I want to breach not just you, I want to breach the entire organization. And to do that, once I know, where you vacationed and who your contacts are and who your boss is and your organizational structure, now I can create this moment of trust with you that I can exploit. That's really what gets dangerous for bigger companies, for medium companies, is I'm going to get inside your company using that information.
Wow. Such a large percentage of the world really uses and enjoys social media daily, myself included. And, a lot of us probably think we're being private, but do you think that maybe as a society we're too maybe trusting and assume that it can never happen to me, and that these social media companies are taking care of this for us and the protection?
Yeah, I think the paradigm has shifted here. It's, it kind of used to be about who we trusted. It was very much a handshake type of world. Now it's much more about how we trust. And, what I try and do is work through with companies. Listen, here's how you train your people on how to trust. Here are the tools. It's not just a gut reaction anymore. It's a calculation, how we think through it and how we feel about it melded together. We like to call it mind your gut. And, this whole new world of information, it changes so quickly. There are so many shortcuts, who's credible, who's not. We don't know as much anymore. But there are very definitely tools to determine, listen, is this a situation that I can trust? How much information can I give away? And how much should I just withhold? Because the less you give away, the more security you've got.
Right. What are some common mistakes people make that should be avoided when it comes to online social media security?
The one brought up here by the LinkedIn case is people utilizing either simple passwords that are easy to crack or passwords that are the same pattern across websites. So if you'll notice in your inbox, you're probably getting a lot of appeals, whether it's, hey, you're part of the LinkedIn breach. Now, this is coming from the criminals, not from LinkedIn.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And they want to get a little bit more information. For example, in that breach, they didn't know there weren't email addresses, which are the usernames, attached with those passwords. So now what they're doing is they're soliciting email addresses and trying to get you to say, hey, here's my email address. You can check whether or not your account has been affected. That way they can marry email addresses with passwords and they get in. The minute you go in and change your password and make it more difficult, not just in LinkedIn, but on your bank account, and you rotate it and you use alphanumeric, those simple type things, boom, suddenly you're no longer at risk. It's the person next to you who did nothing.
Wow. You were also a victim of identity theft. Could you briefly talk about what that experience was like and how you were able to overcome it?
You bet. I'm just the same as you, as the average person out there. Thought it couldn't happen to them. Had my identity stolen once out of my trash, and oddly enough, a woman used my identity to purchase a house.
Wow.
I thought about it, but I didn't internalize it. I didn't feel it at that moment. And so I didn't do much. And then my business partner utilized my identity to embezzle about $300,000 from our clients. And I spent the next 2 years fighting to stay out of jail for the crimes he had committed. I lost the business, I lost the $300,000 plus, and I lost 2 years of my life to it. That's when I had this moment of realization. I felt it, so to speak, and figured, listen, not only do I have to protect myself personally and my family, but I got to protect my business, because this is now starting to affect a much larger sphere than just the personal realm. And it was incredibly painful. It was a 3 or 4 year process where I thought I was going to jail, eventually got out of it, and wrote a book and got into the speaking, and now I just get to help people prevent this.
I've been a victim of identity theft through credit card, and my wife too, and it's a weird experience to think that someone you don't even know is taking advantage of you and your funds, and it's really a pain in the butt to have to go through the process of trying to set things straight with the card companies and making sure that that everything that you protect yourself, within, with this kind of malicious act.
Yeah, but there is an opportunity in that, which is most people have been affected or seen a member of their family or friends affected like that, or credit card theft.
Right.
The corporation can utilize that. That's what we call, a moment of empathy, a moment of visceral empathy. I have felt it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you apply that to the business, and suddenly you've got employees that care and that are empathic about, hey, here's what it feels like to have it stolen. Now you start expanding that out into the business world. Here's how you protect the passwords on your iPad. Here's how you protect your Wi-Fi connection, your client files that you carry when you travel. And suddenly you've got a great bridge between the personal credit card theft like you had,
right,
and the professional protection that all of these corporations need, so that they don't become a Zappos or a TJ Maxx or one of these companies that is breached and loses all kinds of money and all kinds of respect.
Lastly, John, are there any additional steps individuals and companies can do to protect themselves from online hacking?
Oh my gosh, there are. The first is awareness. Unfortunately, we're at a stage still, 5 years after my stuff happened, where people need to know what type of things are going on. With the social media realm, they need to know that 30% of all malware is downloaded now via Facebook, meaning this new medium into our lives is a major source of the code that gets on our computer that gives away the company secrets.
Are these typically apps that people are downloading, or?
They're apps, or here's what happens is your friend, who is not your friend, their account has been taken over, but it's their picture, sends you a link. It could be a link to a video, it could be a link to a class reunion, whatever. Well, because it's your friend sending it, there's this high level of trust.
Sure.
But their account has been taken over. You click on it, it installs software. So you're surfing personally, but you're on a work computer. Suddenly it infiltrates your work systems. Now they have access to the whole shebang. That's where that kind of major corporate damage comes from.
Wow. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us. And it's been a true pleasure having you on our Trending Now program. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure working with you guys, and hope to come back again.